Thanks a lot, Todd. Gabriel Medina, our new world champ. The Goofy Foot takes on Julian Wilson for their both first ever appearances in the final here at Pipe. They'll have plenty of time on their clock, scored on their top 2 waves, and the winner at the end will take out the coveted Pipe Masters title. We mentioned before, Aussies have dominated in the past. It would be another big accomplishment if Medina can capitalize on what might end up turning out to be the best day of his life, Potts.
You know, he got kind of lost in the moment there, which you can't blame him with that world title. And now he's focused back on this heat.
We'll have a split peak to start. Staying with Julian Wilson at back door. Still driving through the pit. He comes out.
Oh.
One of the better waves we've seen in the last few rounds. Wilson starts off so solid.
Wow. I'll tell you what, Gabriel got barreled off his head as well on the left-hander, so a split peak, both guys getting completely barreled. Advantage, I might have to say, will go with Julian Wilson. Let's have a look at this as he drives through the section, flying 100 miles an hour, and he comes out the end of that one. Julian Wilson, perfect positioning and timing, and on the flip side, let's have a look at Gabriel Medina. Slides into it, a little bit more manufactured, didn't have that big throaty hollow section on it, so advantage to Julian Wilson, and that is going to be a bomb score right there for him.
What a dream way to start off the final with a split peak, perfect backdoor, perfect pipeline. Medina already back in position. We'll see if he takes off. He's heading backdoor. Super deep takeoff with his positioning, and he looks to make it out. Medina disappeared and ends up pulling off a miracle on the end section.
Wow. I'll tell you what, is there anything this kid can't do?
And the cheers are getting louder for our new world champion. Julian's gonna answer back, late takeoff. He recovers, pulls up, nice high and tight approach. With that inside section clamps. Julian in his 6th surf of a massive finals day. And I can't wait to see another look on Medina's read at backdoor. Remember what he did at Pipe? We'll take another look on the angle of the takeoff, Potts.
Yeah, beautiful positioning here. Grabs the rail, slides in there. Now he starts to slow himself down. Now he's nice and deep, traveling through that really heavy section there, and comes flying out of the end. So kind of rivaled, Julian's opening wave. Maybe not quite as hollow and throaty as Julian's was, but I'll tell you what, technically as difficult. And he comes flying out of the end of it. First indications on Julian's wave. And you can see there, it is definitely Brazil's day today here at the pipeline.
By Medina was the chant that you started hearing back in Europe when Medina had a chance of closing out this world title race at the 9th stop of the season. That day wouldn't come true, and they waited to pipeline. And for surf fans and for the world title race, it was a huge one coming down to the wire. Medina waiting for his 2nd score to come through as Rosie Hodge is getting up close and personal with the vibe downstairs. How's it feel, Rosie?
Are you kidding me, Joe? I don't think you could ask for anything better than this final we have on our hands. I'm standing with the Medina camp, but I feel like the whole beach is pretty much behind Gabriel Medina at this point. You know, Julian Wilson, Gabriel Medina, this is the 3rd time they've matched up in a final. They're each 1 for 1. So this is really going to cut that tie, and what an exciting way to finish the day.
Well, Rosie, we've kind of put you down there on the front line at a lot of the venues around the world. Have you ever experienced a vibe this loud before?
Well, just that moment when Gabriel won the world title, coming out of the water, you know, his heat was out surfing with Philip Toledo. He left him out in the lineup, came back and celebrated his world title, went back out, and now, you know, he's just out in the final against Julian Wilson. It's incredible.
As you see the celebration, Rosie, right next to him, you can see led by Gabriel Medina's stepfather, Charlie. Amazing to see that action. Rosie will cross with you in just a moment as we see this action out the back. Scores are starting to drop in now for the opening exchange. 26 still to go in the final. It's a dream day for the Medina camp. There's so many people that were waiting for this moment. We mentioned how tough it was to watch them in the World Cup. People we work with on the road said how devastating it was for their country, and now this was their hope. A lot of the superstars flew out here, like Pedro Barros, to see this moment come true.
Yeah, it's huge, you know, and we talked about it before, how it's been a combination of decades of Brazilian surfing. You know, they've been such a major part of our sport. You know, over the years, they've produced some great champions, and you know, Adriano de Souza basically kind of kick-started this Brazilian storm, so to speak, and, you know, has basically put, you know, Brazilian surfing even higher up on the list, and it sort of built that platform for Medina and the boys to come through, and it's been a definitely a day that'll go down in history here at Pipeline.
When we think about all the amazing Brazilian surfers, like even going back to your career, Potts, you can see they always had this passion. It was almost a word people thought was overused, but you can see how they live and die for moments like this to be the best in the world. Medina now locking in on his forehand at Pipeline. One big pump, a beautiful line, and he gets spit out. Off the bottom, a big hack with the fins out. He'll control the finishing move. Meanwhile, numbers dropping in from the opening exchange. Julian dropped a 9.93 at backdoor. Medina's backdoor ride, a perfect 10 from the panel.
Well, all I can say is wow. A 10-point ride for Gabriel Medina. And as I said, is there anything this kid cannot do? We saw him step up at Chopu and produce some incredible surfing where the surfing world doubted him in those kind of conditions. And I kind of knew he was going to channel that energy coming in here to the Pipeline. Let's have a look at this left here from the water angle as he just draws through this beautiful wave. Conditions here this afternoon have just gotten beautiful, and Medina just throws the tail out there for good measure. 10.0, perfect 10-point ride on his last wave. He's going to back it up with something special again. Julian Wilson is not out of it. A 9.93. Two judges threw a 10 at it. One threw a 9.8. Two 9.9s, averaged out 9.93. So it is not over yet. Julian Wilson still in with a shot. 23 minutes and 35 on the clock.
There will be nobody sleeping tonight here at Pipeline, as the celebration will be going probably till the start of the season next year. Medina proving his worth in a variety of conditions, big barreling waves in Tahiti. He also was dominant at Snapper Rocks and at the Fiji Pro and smaller surf with that magic board. Amazing exchange just went down. We saw it from land. How was your angle, Pete?
Well, as always, you know, I got the best seat in the house watching that. I mean, I thought Julian's wave, we hadn't seen a wave like that in so long, right? And then finally one magic one comes, you think that's it, and all of a sudden you see Gabriel Medina magically appear into this backside barrel that he just was perfectly positioned. He made it look so easy, you know, and we've got a heat on our hands, a 9.93 and a 10.0. Now it comes down to who can get that backup score. I didn't get to see Gabriel Medina's wave going the other direction, but it sounded like it was pretty good because the crowd went ballistic.
Yeah, Pete, that was an 8.0. Talk to me a little bit about the vibe out there. How's Julian handling it? Can you see any fatigue sort of coming into play?
Well, I mean, he's focused, right? I mean, he's focusing on everything he possibly could do. He did have a little bit of a cheeky grin as he came around the corner after that 9.93. But of course, he watched that wave right as Gabriel Medina dropped in, so it went back to all business once again.
Well, Pete, we remember that big exchange that started the semifinal 2 back in Tahiti with Kelly versus John. It was a 10 and a 9.9 to start. Are you getting a similar feeling with the start of this heat?
Oh, absolutely. You got to love this kind of stuff. These are the best guys in the world.
Well, now we break down Gabriel Medina's scoreline with a 10 and an 8-point ride back-to-back. Julian now needs an 8.08 to come back in this heat. Potts, we've seen matchups with these two in the past. When you look at their matchups, they've had 2 finals. One final in France when Medina was a rookie on the midseason rotation, and then a dramatic final in Portugal where Julian Wilson ended up on top. That was a tough final for Medina to walk away from.
You know, Julian Wilson's the kind of guy that can do that with Medina. You know, these guys can go wave for wave, result for result. I mean, Julian's got the talent to beat Medina, and this is what we're going to see coming up in the next couple of years. Julian's found his feet. He's going to come out of this year with a lot of confidence, maybe not because of the beginning of the year, but because of the way he's ending right now. Ending in good form, surfing as well as what we've been expecting him to do all year. A 9.93, he's still in this heat. Pete Mel hit the nail on the head when he said it's going to come down to these guys' backup. At the moment, Medina with an 8.0. I don't know if that's going to be enough, because if, I tell you what, Julian drops another bomb like that, 9.93, the game is on.
Well, a huge role now for Julian to fight back. He has priority now. We remember what happened to Julian looking back to Haleiwa when we had Julian start off that final in such dynamic form, did one of the biggest airs on the bowl section, and was able to put everyone in a combination spot. Dusty dig deep and turn things around. Julian looked devastated on the podium, being that close to leading off the Triple Crown with a big win. Right now, Julian's committing to backdoor. Now setting up his backup score. He'll just have to kick out, Potts.
Well, he's just staying true to what he's been doing this entire event, catching a lot of waves, keeping that momentum going. You know, he didn't really need to catch that one there, but you know, sometimes those ones that close out are sometimes the ones that you can stay in for a really long time and sneak out the end of them. So Julian just keeping his eye on the game. Right now getting caught inside. He's, well, Pete Mel got caught inside too, I think, as Pete Mel comes in. So, you know, Julian, I tell you what, it's going to be tight. He's got to do the runaround because more sets are coming through. Medina's looking like he could have a big left coming his way.
Well, Medina now all alone with Julian looking for the board change on the beach. 19:40 to go. Wilson still needs an 8.08. Medina way down the beach now, changing his position. Could be setting up this little left-hander. He will roll the dice and glide in. Beautiful pump to start. In the barrel now, nice and deep, looking for the high line exit. And that exit disappears quickly. Nothing changing with his top two scores.
Yeah, just driving through that one there. I don't think, even if he came out of that one, Joe, I don't think it would have bettered his 8.0. But just keeping busy. Julian finally gets his feet on the sand after about an hour and a half of being out in the water and just taking in some big breaths. 19 minutes remaining, and Julian Wilson needs an 8.08. That is a walk in the park for what this kid's been doing all day. He can do that at the drop of a hat. Backdoor's been producing some good waves, and Julian just needs to try and get himself on one of them.
Well, what a huge day for Julian Wilson. Remember, he served an extra heat over Medina. Medina also only served half of his quarterfinal, so much more time in the lineup for Julian as he's looking to make a serious comeback in this heat. Potts, you were following Julian closely when he was part of that Young Gun crew that was assembled, traveling the world tour. We saw him in early wildcard performances at Snapper Rocks, and he quickly came out of the gates taking that Rookie of the Year honor. But he's been very vocal this year in his post-heat interviews. We can hear the frustration in his voice, and it's kind of like the Dusty story, things turning around, and now Julian on fire. Hopefully this momentum will give him a good start to next season.
You know, we always talk about that one thing that gets you going. You know, sometimes, I mean, you look at Kelly Slater's heat in round 2. It was kind of a really lackluster performance until he did that one drop that was just amazing, and that kick-started his heat. Same thing with Julian Wilson. I think this event is going to wake him up. It's going to make him sort of get back on that belief program that I can do this like he had when he was a kid. You know, things kind of can go a little astray sometimes in competitive surfing. I think Julian's got himself back on track, and I think this is going to be really good for his confidence going into 2015.
It's down to 17:30 in the season of 2014. We've seen a lot of ups and downs for every surfer on tour, and they worked so hard to get to this point. Just to be part of the top 34 is a statement in itself. We've said goodbye to some of our heroes like Travis Logie announcing his retirement. We're coming close to crowning a champion in the final heat of the year. We'll take a quick break. We'll finish off the final right after this.
Remaining. Here we go, Medina wasting no time, going back door, grabbing the rail, traveling in a beautiful cavern, still traveling, can he come out? Yes, Gabriel Medina!
Welcome back to the final of the Billabong Pipe Masters in loving memory of Andy Irons. Gabriel Medina dropped a 10 at backdoor, backed it up with an 8-point ride on his very next wave to take a solid lead over the Australian Julian Wilson. Remember though, Wilson opened up with a 9.93 dream wave at backdoor and still has himself with a fighting shot of taking his first ever Pipe Masters title. We saw the star born with Medina a long time ago, Potts, and you were on hand to watch that King of the Groms contest. How much different does Gabriel Medina look now?
Yeah, just a little bit more solid, I think. You know, Medina dropped 2 10s in that final. I then watched him go to the ISA World Juniors. He won that with 2 10s in the final. Am I surprised? No. You know, this kid was definitely on track to where he is to this day. You know, obviously, you know, 20 years of age. I thought, you know, when he came on tour that it might have been earlier than that, but still 20 years of age. A great accolade there for young Gabriel Medina.
Well, at the moment, we're hitting the 15-minute mark. Julian Wilson under priority. He's taking a look, and he'll hold back. Still needs an 8.08. Back at the Australian leg of the season, Potts, you actually went over and sat down with Medina to talk to him about his headspace coming into the year, injuries and surfboards. So what did you really learn from that meeting?
I learned that this kid's really focused, you know, and he talks about, as many times as he's been asked about the pressure and you know, obviously having that yellow jersey, everyone's trying to beat you. You know, I've worked out that this kid's got a really smart head on his shoulders. He takes things in his stride. He doesn't get too far ahead of himself. Tries to live in the moment. Tries to focus on what he's got to do at that point in time. And I think that's really key here in surfing as we see him going now.
Now making a move at backdoor, stalling on the takeoff. Medina now behind the curtain just a bit. Stalls one more time, the wave spits and he's out. A challenging read on backdoor, but the crowd loves it anytime he gets to his feet. A lot of times, Spots, you see this in Brazil when he takes off. The cheers erupt. Now we're seeing it here at Pipeline.
Well, I tell you what, the cheers are erupting even when he starts to paddle for the wave. That one there, not quite deep enough on that first section, but he got a nice little bonus section and came out with the spit. Is that going to better his 8.0? I don't think so. I think he sort of, that was more of a manufactured barrel, but nonetheless keeping the crowd on their feet, which we like to see. And Julian Wilson now with priority. This is a very important situation for Julian. He needs to make this next wave count. It's got to be over the 8-point range. I reckon he's got to get something very similar to his first wave. It's got to be in that 9+ range, Joe.
Well, one thing you notice about Julian, he appears to be in that crazy zone where everything is looking easy. He's not taking crazy wipeouts too often throughout this finals day, but he's dealing with that pressure quite well. It was that crazy form we used to see when he won the U.S. Open in the past, when he beat Jordy Smith at the Mr. Price Pro in South Africa, getting a perfect 10 on that crazy flip along the way. When he reaches a point where he can let go and do some of his best surfing, right now, what does he need to rely on to come back?
Well, he's just got to rely on what he's been doing all day. He's been winning heats all day, and this is, you know, he's got to look at this as just another heat. You know, he's got to make sure that this next score that he drops in is going to be a big one, and he's got to change the lead. He's got to put the shoe on the other foot, put Gabriel Medina behind, and make Medina earn this Pipeline Masters title right now. He's already got the world title under his belt, and at the moment in the box seat. But Julian, he's got to sit patiently. He's got 12 minutes and 45 seconds to go. This next wave he catches has got to be a good one.
So an interesting scenario as we had a few days off leading up to this final day. We even tried to get 4 heats done last night with smaller conditions. Kieran Perot, our commissioner, decided to hold off, shorten the heats to maximize his swell. As you see that trophy, only a few people can say that they've held it above their arms. Potts, he did that back in 1989. We've seen so many legends accomplish their goals, especially in the story of Kelly, Mick, Andy, and Joel, and now a whole new story is written with Medina.
Yep, I'll tell you what, there's very few world champions that are outside of Australia and America, and Medina's one of them. So it's definitely going to open up the floodgates and make these other countries believe that they can do it. You know, Australia's had a stranglehold along with Kelly and Andy Irons. So things are kind of slowly changing now, and we're going to start seeing these different nations standing up.
Well, this was the thing that you always expected when you see the young superstars coming through that are 19 and 20 doing new moves that maybe the elder guard doesn't really have in their arsenal every single day. That usually pushes guys like Kelly and Mick to push their game up an extra notch. Former world champ Barton Lynch once said there's always those new guys coming up, but it seemed like the veterans always had a stranglehold in the top 10. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's hard for the kids to come in and literally dominate a tour that's like it is at the moment. I mean, it's a lot of the tours are held in really good waves of consequence. It takes the QS guys a little bit of time to get used to that, you know, a year or two at least. So I think this year's the first year we're going to have a Rookie of the Year that hasn't re-qualified in a long time. So it just goes to show you how difficult the tour is these days and how much of a stranglehold those guys do have on the tour.
And remember, everybody, Firefox post-show immediately following the final and the awards presentation. We'll go through the entire awards ceremony, especially crowning our champs in our world title race, our Pipe Masters champ, and also our champion of the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing, and reliving one of the best days in pro surfing, especially for Gabriel Medina, who's in his first final here at the Pipe Masters with 10 minutes still on the clock to try to close this one out. Potts, we travel so long around the world. We have such a solid crew. One of the great stops is back in Brazil, where you get to see these fans celebrate their heroes. They're always on site early in the morning and till dark, and you can see them coming in the numbers for this special moment in pro surfing.
You know, I think that basically the Brazilian surf fans are fans of surfing. You know, I mean, you know, there wasn't a Brazilian near the finals in Brazil, but they really did support the sport. I mean, they were down there every morning till the last heat of the day, and you know, you've got to give the surf fans in Brazil a lot of credit. They're a great base of surf fans, super passionate about their sport, and yeah, it's good to see. I mean, it's basically half of Brazil down here today.
That's right. Well, you think about this final. It started off out of the gates with a beautiful split peak scenario. It was Julian Wilson going backdoor. He got a 9.93 with such a dream read to start. Couple of judges threw the perfect 10. Medina quick to answer back, getting 10s from every judge on the panel.
Yeah, look at that. Just a long, deep barrel. Comes out. You can see the passion. You can see the stoke. And Medina is feeling it, that is for sure. As Charlie's feeling it too, let me tell you right now. He's going to be feeling it tomorrow. And Medina backed it up, backed that 10-point ride up with a beautiful pipeline tube. Comes flying out the end of it, channeling the energy that he had, and finished off with a beautiful tail sliding maneuver. So Gabriel Medina feeling it. 8 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Julian Wilson's got to dig deep. He's got a 9.93 under his belt. He's looking for one more big score, and he's going to try and take this out. He's still holding down priority, so he's got that side of it down.
Well, it's such a legend of the sport already, especially for all of Brazil. Medina with such a solid lead. I remember one of the guys that really started paving a way more recently in Brazilian pro surfing, Adriano de Souza, had to sit on the sidelines for this event. Can't wait to see de Souza back and running in 2015, but he's been active on his Instagram, wishing the best of luck to the Brazilian contingent. Alejo Muniz played a huge role in that story as he eliminated Kelly Slater to take him out of contention, eliminated Mick Fanning, and that's when the celebration started here earlier on the beach at Pipeline.
Yeah, and I just said before that Julian Wilson had priority. I think Medina's got it. I don't know what happened there. Maybe when we're doing that heat recap, Julian made an effort at catching a wave. So Medina now with the lead and priority, so things are starting to look even better for Gabriel Medina.
Charlie told us recently that it's up to Medina to do what he wants to do in the lineup. He can switch gears at any time. And Medina's still asking for another update from our announcers. Bo Hodge, Rocky Cannon, and Kaipo Guerrero are our beach announcers. They're actively watching the surfers at all times to see if they have any questions. Now gliding in, it'll be Julian Wilson under priority. Casual approach off the bottom, a big backdoor pin. He has another section to come through, and he's down.
Wow. That could have been it right there, Joe. That was a bomb. That was deep. It was throaty, but kind of crumbled at the end, and Julian Wilson just didn't come out. That was the score that he was looking for. That was the wave that he needed right there. And unfortunately didn't come out of it. So a small score, he's got to regather, try and get himself back out in time. Let's have a look at it and see what went wrong here. As he drops down there, you can see him drives off the bottom, standing tall in this one. And right there's a lot of crumble, hits the white water. And that wave just shutting down on him right at the end there, just chandeliered. Didn't quite hold open for him, so unfortunate there for Julian. That could have been a good score for him.
A fair effort for Julian Wilson. Remember, he asked for water before this final got started, dealing with his 6th heat, his first ever Pipe Masters final. He doesn't want to miss out on a chance and possibly turn this one around. 8.08. You can see how crazy that inside section was. Or was there anything else he could have done on that wave, Fox?
I think he did everything he could, Joe. Unfortunately, backdoor has the last say. You know, you said before Julian was asking for some water. I'd be asking for a new pair of arms by now. I think, you know, Julian's been out there for quite some time. You've got to give the kid credit. You know, Medina had the luxury of coming in and sitting down and kind of just regathering his thoughts. Julian's been out in the water for 3 straight heats, so, you know, obviously that's going to take its toll.
As we think about 5.5 left, approaching the 5-minute warning, Medina still out front. Wilson needs an 8.08. Want to say a big thanks to our whole broadcast team who's traveled around the world this entire season and worked with crews who are, you know, all over the world, hanging out with the locals at every single stop to put on the best broadcast that they can. Everyone works on the road, works so hard, and all our amazing crew back at the offices at ASP in Santa Monica. It's truly been an amazing 2014, and we have so much to look forward to in 2015 for the World Surf League. All the crew downstairs watching this big moment. 5 minutes to go, and Wilson looks at Pipeline. Needs an 8.08. Pulls in on the takeoff and ends up getting stuck on his way out.
Well, it's a couple in a row now for Julian. You know, he's been so successful in coming out of those barrels, but just here this in the final, things just not cooperating for him. 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go, time ticking away. Gabriel Medina to tick another box as far as the firsts go. First Brazilian world champion, first Brazilian pipe masters, quite possibly. But tell you what, it's not over yet. Julian Wilson still has a shot.
Well, that's right. You go back to the legends of Brazil, guys like Pepe Lopes that were able to come here to Hawaii to accomplish great things. So now Medina going one step further and breaking all the records at just 20 years of age. 4:10 to go before he celebrates a Pipe Masters title. With plenty of time on the clock, Wilson still has a fair chance to answer back with conditions like this. We've seen so many turnarounds at Pipeline over the last decade or so. For you, Potts, we talked about memories in the old days. What about recent pipe finals? So which ones really stand out for you in the recent years?
I think last year's one was, to me, pretty amazing. I mean, Kelly had to win the event to have a shot at a world title. He did exactly that. But going head-to-head with John, he said that was probably one of the things that he wanted to try and accomplish before he retired. And he got his wish. I think that was an amazing final for a guy at 42 years of age to surf like that in conditions like that. You got to take your hat off to the guy.
Special moment looking back at last season, and now this year, a year later, it's Julian Wilson's turn to try to come from behind to take out Medina. They've been in finals in the past. They're both tied at 1 apiece. Medina got his chance over Julian in France with that all-star performance at just 17 years of age. At 17, there's not a whole lot of guys that can compete with everyone on the World Tour.
No, definitely not. I mean, it takes a really mature head on your shoulders. It takes a really advanced style of surfing. You've got to have pretty much a complete game to beat the best in the world. You've got to be good in the air. You've got to have a solid base, a solid rail game, and you've got to be able to charge big, gnarly waves. And that's what it takes these days. You can't be a one-dimensional surfer. It takes every aspect of the game to be in tip-top shape to be the world's best.
Well, you can see Medina now casually sitting behind Julian. Medina still has priority with 2:30 to go. We're starting to see a couple of lines on the horizon. Julian's starting to paddle towards it. It looks like a multiple wave set. Both surfers should get a wave before this one closes out.
Well, I'll tell you what, if these guys paddle a little bit more towards backdoor, this thing's going to be insane. Julian Wilson having a look at this one right here. Super deep, Joe.
He will glide in, fades the takeoff. Beautiful drive through that first section. Julian, a stand-up hit, and he comes flying out. The crowd is going crazy. Wilson needed an 8.08, and now Medina on the next wave. He's looking to fight back, trying to stall. The wave spits, and he gets the high line exit.
Wow, well, we knew that there was going to be an exchange here towards the end of this heat, and we saw it. And that was a big set there. Julian Wilson got spat out of that one. Gabriel Medina kind of had to hit the brakes on that one, Joe. Was that better than his 8.0? Because that's what we got to look at right now. Is he going to better his situation? We know for a fact that Julian Wilson is going to better his. His second score in a row was a 2. He was looking for an 8.08. I reckon he got that, but did Medina better his situation? Let's have a look. Julian Wilson takes off on a good size wave, drops down, backdoors a section there, comes flying out with a spit, and well, kind of claiming it there is Julian Wilson. So it's in the judges' hands right now. Medina, watch how he hits the brakes there, stalls in it, and comes out of that one as well. So Gabriel Medina finishes off with a great wave as well. Was that better than his 8? And was he going to better his situation? What a final, Joe.
An interesting roll there as we're into the countdown. And that'll do it for the Pipe Masters final as we anticipate 2 more scores to come through. As we hear the reaction from the fans once again, all of Brazil so proud of Medina, and we'll wait the decision to see who will be taking our Pipe Masters title here in 2014. We saw the decision being made. Julian didn't have priority. Look backdoor. Medina wanted the next wave of the set.
Yeah, I think he kind of knew there was something coming. He sort of knew, he looked at that wave that Julian had and said, you can have that one. Those are the kind of ones you don't want unless you're on your front side. Julian pulled in deep, got spat out, came out with the spit, which is kind of maximizing the time behind the curtain. Gabriel Medina got a great wave of his own there, and this is in the judges' hands right now. I tell you what, both guys gave it their all. Both guys surfed incredibly well here all day. There's your new world champion. Is he going to take out the Pipe Masters as well? We're waiting for scores right now.
As he might just get chaired up all the way back to Brazil. A big moment for the Medina camp as they're cheering it up regardless of that final outcome. Wilson much more serious down the beach. You remember back to that situation in Portugal a couple of years ago when that final was decided on the sand.
Yeah, and it went Julian's way, didn't it? I mean, Medina thought he'd won it. Everyone told him he'd won it. Everyone in his camp told him he'd won it. Julian got the score and took it off him. So are we going to see a similar situation here, Joe? It's nervous moments for both guys. I don't really think Medina cares at this point. I think he's on a different cloud right now as we see scores starting to drop for Julian Wilson. A 9.70, so Julian Wilson takes the lead. Medina needs a 9.63. First score drops. It's not enough. Second score drops. It's not enough, Joe. 3 more judges need to... There it is, 9.20, not enough. Julian Wilson, the winner.
Takes out the Pipe Masters in 2014, Julian Wilson.
Wow.
Now getting the message. A 9.7 on the last wave to come from behind to upset the newly crowned world champion.
Wow. Deja vu. Julian Wilson pulls a rabbit out of the hat underneath Medina's priority. A 9.70. I knew he needed to drop another big bomb to take this one out, and he did exactly that. And Julian Wilson literally collapsed on the beach, Joe.
In a year that was so challenging for Julian Wilson, maybe his most frustrating year on the WCT, he finishes off on top of the world, taking his second ever WCT win with over the same competitor, Gabriel Medina, on a venue that every pro surfer wants to win at. Wilson now will get rised up on the chair and we'll see him on the podium.
Wow, amazing moments on the beach here. Tell you what, Medina kind of thought he had that one again, and Julian Wilson, as he does, snuck that one in, but what a performance from the young man.
Well, as we saw small scores throughout some of the previous rounds, everything climaxing in the final. A 19.63 combined total for Wilson to take out our world champ, Medina, who had a 19.2 combined total before the horn sound. What a turnaround for Julian to remind everyone that he's one of the best in the entire world. Moving up on the rankings to have a bit of a higher seed before we start off 2015. Looks like he's in a little bit of disbelief right now, Potts.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a big day at the office for Julian Wilson.
One of those epic finals that you dream of. 2 surfers from the younger guard that'll be taking over pro surfing for at least the next decade, if not further. Medina's mom quick to congratulate Wilson on that effort.
You know what, we're going to see a lot more of this, Joe. In the future, Julian's back in a big way. You know, this is the kind of performances that we were waiting to see from him all year. I'm just glad that it came at the end of this year, and it's going to give him that platform to launch himself into 2015, and he's going to come through with a vengeance.
Huge one there for Wilson. Finishes off taking the final stop of the season, celebrating on deck with Lindy Irons. 6 heat surfs today. Ronnie Blakey, take it away.
Got Julian here, lapping up the attention of a well-deserved victory, of course. It's well noted it's been one of Julian's toughest years on tour, his toughest year on tour. Jules, coming into this contest, you'd only made it past the 3rd round once this year. That was your semi-final finish down at Bells Beach. Tell us how you're feeling.
Oh, mate, it's the best day of my life, best competitive day of my life, 100%. All I could think about there was Snake. Snake did it and I was doing it, and I never gave up. I had a couple opportunities, and that was just amazing waves in the final. And we both had good scores, and it was so good at the start. We didn't hassle at the start. He wanted to go left, I went right. I got a good one, he got a better one. And then he had a lock on it for pretty much the whole heat, and then we both got our second best waves like in the last minute. And I don't know, it's pretty speechless, but just like, it doesn't really feel real, but
You collapsed on the beach, obviously an amazing moment, but you're also a Triple Crown champion, taking out the Vance Triple Crown with that victory. You needed to win the contest. You got the jump on Dusty Payne. And just reflecting back, I remember years ago you actually were in the running for the Triple Crown. You never got the opportunity to surf pipe. You made good on that today.
Yeah, it was an amazing day. Dusty got me at Haleiwa and then surfed exceptionally at Sunset, and gave me a very, very small opportunity here. I pretty much had to win no matter what result he got. I mean, if he lost before round 4, so I never really was thinking about the Triple Crown too much. I just wanted to make sure I stayed on tour and finished with a really good result. And then 3 heats went in a row, and I just felt comfortable out there. There was some good waves out there, and I broke my board in the final. The fin snapped out, and then I felt like it was a good thing because I could come in and reset because I hadn't touched the sand for like an hour. So yeah, came in and reset.
You and Gabriel, some amazing history with you guys and finals. I know it feels really good to get the jump on him on a really special day for surfing. How was it just soaking in this whole day and also trying to keep your head on game?
Yeah, it was a special day. I was out in the water when he won the world title, and I didn't know if my heat had stopped. I didn't know if it was still going, and I was just kind of, it took 5 minutes to kind of say, you know, taking everything that was going on. And Felipe was in the next heat, and he's like, "Is my heat on? Is my heat off?" And the whole thing kind of just stopped, and took a pause for a minute. And then after that, it was just the waves kept coming, and Medina went back out and won his heat, and then I met him in the final. And yeah, I mean, a huge congrats for him winning the world title, and it's been an amazing day. I really didn't want him to win the Pipe Masters as well as the world title today, and yeah, it was good. Like at the end there was 2 waves in that set, and he let me go to the right and he wanted the left, and we got to duke it out, so it was cool.
Andy Irons was one of your heroes, this event in his honour. I know that means a lot to you.
Oh yeah, Lindy's right here. I like just about started crying when I seen her. It's like the best day of my life. Hands down, best day of my life. You know, the family's amazing. Lindy and Axel are like sister and little, you know, little niece, like a little brother. Little Hawaiian family, and I don't know. I'm lost for words, but to have her standing on the stage is pretty awesome. And I mean, my day couldn't really have gotten much better, and that Lindy's here, and it's all happened. And I don't know. Dusty had his hands on it, and Dusty got me at Haleiwa, and I was thinking about that too, and I was just, there's a big fire lit inside me, and I just wanted to really get that wave at the end, and it felt so good.
You got the job done. Congratulations, Pipe Masters champ, Vance Triple Crown champ, Julian Wilson.
Thanks so much, Ronnie. Great to hear Julian Wilson with that excitement in his voice again, dealing with the trials of suffering some round 3 losses at venues that he was put as the favorite to potentially win, and now finishing off with all this momentum to carry him through to 2015. Potts, it's crazy to think about Snapper Rocks. That seems like a lifetime ago now. You can see how challenging it is to be a pro surfer, let alone a world champion.
Yeah, you know, we always talk about this sport of surfing. It's how amazing it is, how difficult it is to be the best at it. Our playing field's constantly changing. You know, you've got the highs and the lows of it. You know, you're breaking boards, the tide's changing, you're in different countries and different, you know, cultures. It's a marathon, you know, it's not a 100-meter sprint. These guys spend all year trying to do this. You've got to remain consistent throughout that entire year. You can't just win one event. You need to back them up. You need to have consistent results. I mean, there's just so much coming into it, so many variables that have to come together to be the best in the world.
And Gabriel Medina taking a world title in front of his fans here at Pipeline. We'll take a quick break. The Firefox post-show begins right after this.
Julian Wilson going back door. It's going to be a throaty one. Roomy. Big gaping barrel spin, and Julian Wilson's out!
Thank you for joining us here on the Firefox Post Show. Todd Klein joined by Strider Wazalewski, Ross Williams. Guys, I tell you what, no question, the best day in the sport of surfing. For me personally, I am super excited to see the fans finally get passionate about our sport. It started with the Brazilians, but now the Australians are right behind Julian Wilson. Rightfully so, he just won the Pipe Masters. What about you, Ross? That's for me, I think the passion's unbelievable.
Surfing is the winner today. You know, the performance level is through the roof. It's always through the roof, but there's so much momentum, you know, with the sport. With this win, it represents more than just a win for Gabriel. It represents how far our sport has come. I truly believe, looking back to our first few world champions, if they could look at on a day like today and go, wow, we've really made it. It's that kind of day. It really is a landmark day.
Strider, a bit of a changing of the guard?
I'd say definitely a beautiful swing, to the youth of these guys and what they have to offer. Obviously, the rest of the boys still have plenty to go. There's plenty of gas left in the tank for the likes of Slater and Fanning and Parko. But really, today, honestly, the greatest show on earth. I mean, we got to see so much in one day. It was the best day of professional surfing in the history of the sport of surfing, and I just like to say thanks to Mother Nature for busting out, bringing some waves, and the boys for blowing up all day. It was amazing.
Well, I can't get enough. Let's look right at some more action. The monster moment of the day was today's final. Julian Wilson, Gabriel Medina, guys, it came right down to the last wave in this event. Unbelievable surfing by both of these guys, but I tell you what, the way that Gabriel seemed unstoppable, Ross, but Julian Wilson came to play in this one, and he stepped up big.
Well, right from the get-go, we saw an amazing barrel, and it really looked like it was Julian's to win at that point, but right behind him, Gabriel Medina, for me, this was about a point better than Julian. That was extremely deep. He got a little extension through the Aints Bowl. That was a really heavy barrel. It looked like maybe he wasn't going to make it, and he flew out, but just 0.07 of a point difference. So, it was still anybody's ball game. It left a little bit of room left for Julian.
Yeah, and you know what? Gabriel came through, got a backup of an 8-point ride, beautiful ride, came out through the snap, through the tail, fins out, and sticks it, just really looking like he's commanding the lead. But then Julian comes back with this.
Strider, you spent a lot of time out here at Pipe and Backdoor, and as we talk about, this is the youth of our sport. Surprised to see the comfort by both of these guys out here in a final with so much on the line?
Not really. The boys paved the way. They showed them how this can be done and that they can do it. Now they have the confidence laid out there by Slaters, by Fannings, by Parkos, and it's really no surprise to me the amount that these guys train, how much they get into their routines and the equipment that they get to ride now, it's second to none. These guys have every bit of confidence in the world.
It was a wild final, Todd. It really was. It came down to, the waves turned on too, which was amazing, but we just saw a $150,000 wave. Julian, that ride at Backdoor won him the Triple Crown and won him $100,000 for first place in the Pipe Masters. Some golfers have a little nerves over a 3-foot putt. $150,000 ride at Backdoor, that can't be a better feeling than that.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff right there. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and crown some champions. There's a lot of hardware down there to give away. We're going to send it down to Joe Turpel.
Thanks so much, Todd. Thanks, everyone, for coming down here to the Billabong Pipe Masters here in 2014. It's the final stop of the Vans Triple Crown and the final stop of the Samsung Galaxy ASP World Championship Tour. A big thanks to all the locals here in Hawaii. We love finishing off the year here each and every year for giving us your amazing wave called Pipeline to let the best in the world challenge themselves and prove to be the worthy champions that they are on the top 34. The online numbers have been amazing this year on ASPWorldTour.com, and our favorite thing is just seeing your face right here on deck to watch all the major moments go down in history, as we saw that made earlier today. Big thanks to all of our major sponsors. Samsung Galaxy became the first global partner of the ASP World Tour, and they're still working with us for great ways to provide new, fresh content to show how legendary all of our champions are. We also want to thank Orbitz for handling all of our travel, GoPro for the best camera in the world to take us inside the pit at Pipeline, at all the challenges we had throughout their series, Monster Energy Drink, the official energy drink of the tour, and Pacifico for being on board. We also want to thank Vans for being one of the most amazing sponsors to have over 30 years of this relationship with the Triple Crown of Surfing, and also Billabong for their amazing support of the Billabong Pipe Masters. Before we crown the event winner of our world champion, we're going to award $50,000 to the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing. It's awarded to the top performer from the 3 stops from Haleiwa to Sunset Beach and at Pipeline. It's so prestigious to take this honor, as we also want to think about the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing. Hawaiian Airlines giving away to the surfer with the highest combined heat total, 250,000 miles. That goes to Dusty Payne for his performance that he had in Haleiwa. I believe Dusty Payne is upstairs. Big congrats to Dusty for that great performance that he had throughout this event. And here is Marty Thomas, our Triple Crown Surfing Director, former top 10 in the world, to present the trophy. Our winner of the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing this year is Julian Wilson. Well, Julian, it's been one of those years that everyone wanted to see you on the podium at major events and doing through those challenges, maybe for the first time since you came on tour, outside the top 10 picture. All of that seems like it's long gone with that crazy performance in Haleiwa and now taking out the Pipe Masters. First of all, what does this Triple Crown title mean to you?
Oh my God, it's pretty much what I feel like. I'm almost, well, not as good a day as Medina, but it's the second best thing to a world title, and I don't know, I had such a small chance, and Dusty's had a huge season and he's requalified, and I had such a small chance. I was barely even thinking about it. I just wanted to finish the year on a good note, and yeah, it's been a grind and learn a lot about myself, and to be standing here at the end of the year and to be holding this trophy and the Pipe Masters, it doesn't even really feel real, but yeah, congrats to Medina and congrats to Dusty for requalifying, and yeah, I'm just stoked. Thank you.
Now, congrats to you, Julian Wilson, advanced Triple Crown champion in 2014. And now time for the Billabong Pipe Masters presentation. Thanks again to Julian Wilson for putting on such an amazing performance at the 3 stops in Hawaii. We had so many amazing days here at the Pipe Masters this year, including the Pipe Invitational. We had challenging West Swell with that crazy morning. We started off with Kelly Slater first thing on deck. We saw things clean up, especially dealing with the lay days, and getting to perform in conditions like this was such a gift to see that go down. Please welcome Lindy Irons to present the trophy to runner-up. And our runner-up this year in the Billabong Pipe Masters, Gabriel Medina. Well, Medina, it's been a special day for you in more ways than one, obviously. With fans here traveling so far around the world to see you clinch that world title, first focusing on the prestige of a Pipe Masters title. This is your first final appearance ever, and you looked so comfortable out there. Are you proud of that runner-up finish?
Yeah, I'm proud of myself. That was good to surf against Julian in the final. He's a great guy, and I love to surf pipe, you know, backdoor as well. And I wasn't waiting for this one, you know, to get second and to get my first world title today. It's just too much thinking one day. But yeah, thank you very much for everyone who was rooting for us, supporting the sport. And I feel honored to be here today. Just to have a chance to surf this wave against the best surfers in the world, and I just want to thank everyone who is on the beach right now.
Gabriel Medina, runner-up for your Pipe Master this year. As we'll introduce our commissioner, former Pipe Master, Karen Perot, to present the trophy to our winner this year of the Billabong Pipe Masters in 2014 from Australia, Julian Wilson. Julian surfing through 6 heats today. Took a quick water break before the final. And was able to dominate out of backdoor. Julian, we saw you win in Portugal a couple of years ago, and now coming to this season, looking through that winning feeling again and coming to Pipe to take this one out. When you look at all the events on tour, what event do you want to win the most?
I just won it. It was, yeah, an incredible day. Yeah, I'm honestly speechless. Words can't describe. I don't even really know how to feel yet. But to win Pipe Masters and the waves to be good, and I was out in the water for, 3 heats in a row there, and I just found a groove, and there was opportunities in that last heat, and me and Gabby got to duke it out, and I mean, that's what it's all about. And congrats to Gabriel on his world title. Thanks, to win this in, with Andy's name on it, it's like maybe it's the most special day in my life. I can't really say anything else. I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank my family, of course, that's at home, and my beautiful girlfriend. And I wish you guys were here, but I didn't really expect this to happen. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for the support, and congrats, Medina.
Julian Wilson, your Pipe Masters champion in 2014. And now we would like to start getting going with our world title presentation. Finally coming down the stretch here, we have 3 guys in contention coming into this final stop of the Billabong Pipe Masters. As we look back on such a special year, our commissioner, Kieran Perot, traveled so many years on tour, won your pet event here at the Pipe Masters, back-to-back finals. As we look back at this world title race, what was the biggest message it left in your brain coming into this final stop?
It's been an incredible year, I think, to have it come down to the wire like this and have waves like this on offer and the crowd on the beach like this. It was probably one of the more emotional moments I've ever seen in surfing, and just to be a part of that was amazing. So to the fans, incredible for turning up. To Medina for an amazing year. Gabriel surfed out of his skin and proved to the world that he is truly the world champ. He is an incredible surfer, and I think he'll be around for a long time. And all of the surfers on tour right now are it's been really fun to watch. And the whole ASP team, really their family, the traveling family that are on the road, they've spent a lot of time behind the scenes, and a huge thanks to them. This wouldn't happen without them. And what an amazing year. We look forward to another one next year. Congrats.
Well, Kieran, you want to make it official? Let's name our world champion.
Gabriel Medina is the 2014 world champ. Congratulations.
From one champion to the next. Gabriel Medina, your 2014 world champion. And the first ever from Brazil to hold this precious cup. A lifelong dream for you, Gabriel, coming into this year, winning the first event out of the gates. I'll never forget the look on your face. There's a look of surprise. Not putting yourself to win that event over Joel Parkinson. Things changed quickly and your confidence built. Taking out the Fiji Pro, maybe the biggest challenge at the Billabong Pro Tahiti. We asked you about pressure. We've asked you about every moment along the way. What was the biggest challenge that you overcame this year to live out your dream?
Yeah, this year has been great. I think the biggest challenge was everything, I would never imagine that I would win Snapper, Fiji, Chopu, and I really want to win Pipe, but Julian took me down. But I'm so happy right now. It's like, you have a dream, and now I reach it, my dream, and I'm not dreaming anymore. It's reality. So yeah. And I'm so honored to be in this battle against Mick and Kelly. I always look up to them, and they really inspire me since I was a little grown. And I don't know, I just beat them. Fuck, I don't know. That's the best day in my life, I just reached my goal.
Well, Gabe, it's been special watching these performances go down, and it's good for us as fans seeing it come down to Pipeline for the final stop. We've never seen anything like this as far as support's concerned. What do you want to say to everyone that came out here from Brazil to watch you compete?
In Portuguese?
You can do Portuguese first, yeah.
Obrigado a todo mundo que está aqui presente hoje. Graças a Deus, hoje eu pude realizar um sonho, não só meu, mas como muitos de vocês. Foram muitos caras tentando, né, esse título, o Fábio Gouveia, o Adriano, o Flávio Padarates, todo mundo que tentou. Eu não sei porquê, Deus me escolheu. Eu tô super feliz e queria agradecer a todo mundo de coração. Isso é bom pro esporte, não é bom só pra mim, mas pro esporte crescer. É um esporte que eu amo de paixão. Se não tivesse dinheiro, nada, eu iria surfar porque eu gosto, eu amo, e queria agradecer a todo mundo, de verdade, todos os meus patrocinadores, minha família, que me ajudou bastante. E essa daqui não é só pra mim, mas é pra todos nós aqui.
Gabriel Medina, before we let you go, we know you accomplished your lifelong dream. Do you have your sights set at trying to break a record like Kelly Slater has, and are trying to accomplish what Mick Fanning has with multiple world titles? What are you going to do to get to that stage?
I don't know. I'm not thinking about it. I just won my first, and I really enjoy it.
Time to celebrate. Let's hear it for our champions. Here in 2014, Gabriel Medina, your first Brazilian world champion at just 20 years of age. Big congratulations to Julian Wilson on taking a Pipe Masters title at the final stop of the season and taking the Vans Triple Crown. We can't wait for you guys to come out and support in 2015 with the World Surf League. Let's now join the boys back on the set with the Firefox Post Show.
Alrighty, thanks a lot, Joe. Unbelievable, historical day here at the Billabong Pipe Masters. The crowd is going crazy. It's been chicken skin all day long. I hope you guys have seen today's action, but if you haven't, stay with us because we're going to dive into today's action on the Firefox Post Show. Stay with us. I'm out of breath. We'll see you soon.
Do you like that? Well, if so, subscribe over there and then watch more videos over there. And then tell us your favorite videos down there. It's a 3-step process. Do them all now.